p.m. Second item on the agenda is public participation. There is none at this point. Items on the agenda. Item number 1, consider approval of the June 16th, 2021 meeting minutes. Read your packet. Second. All in favor? Approval. Thank you. Discussion. Item number 2, discussion on financial analysis strategic plan for the town of Parkville.
All right, so just to give you an idea of what we are looking at doing at the last council meeting, when we were during the budget work session, one of the council members asked for a forecast of revenues and an outlook of where we are with everything, the impact of businesses, the whole outlook of the town. So we're looking at different options of what to do. So we were exploring the whole analysis and impact of the town, the growth, the economic impact, sales tax, everything, property tax, and doing that with in combination of community development, economic development, and that can be funded through the Community Development Corporation, and kind of doing a co-thing of whether if it's a joint workshop or if we're talking to a few different organizations. Should get a cost on that. Not doing a great big strategic plan because we don't need a lot, and pretty much the information that we've given a few different individuals is we know that the town does not want high density. The town does not want any more commercial growth than what's already in the zoned commercial areas. We know that our property tax values are getting higher. Our sales tax is increasing. Number one priority in the town that has been the road structure and keeping the property taxes low. So with that in mind, with what property that we have left that can be developed, what does it look like for the town? Where are we? Where will we be? Kind of thing. And get somebody on the outside to sit down, listen to what the council's goals are, talk to them, in a group setting, and find out what that is and see if somebody can do some kind of an analysis for us. This is just some shots from one of the companies, JD Gray, and Mr. Gray used to be city manager in McKinney once upon a time. And these are just some of the examples that I pulled off of their website. Like they've done an economic development workshop for Argyle. They've done sales tax impact analysis. What they did for like the one for Argyle, and this is kind of something that we were looking at, is the current state of assessment. Kind of like so you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you are. And we really haven't had anybody since I've been here in 10 years kind of just look at an overall picture. We've had different administrators here. We've had different ideas from different people where they think we are, but do we really know where we are? Having somebody professional on the outside and really look at where the town sits. So I just wanted to bring this up and say this is something that we may come to the Community Development Corporation and ask y'all to fund. And keeping it low, not doing something big, not a great big project, but I think keeping, and we're talking to one of the companies tomorrow, we're talking to another one Friday. We had a financial person saying, oh, we can look at your revenues and we can do these projections. And they gave us a price of like $7,500. And it's like, it's like, we can look at our own numbers and do those kind of things. And no, we want a bigger picture. We want somebody that knows market, that knows these kind of things and has experience. So that's kind of what we're looking at.
So really it's we're looking for somebody to take the information we already have. Is that the council?
Do a market, well, I don't, they asked some questions from the last thing, so we'll bring that information that we have and kind of do a market analysis, a growth analysis, and look at the impact and what's around us and the growth, kind of taking like what some of the things that the retail coach does and the impact and the analysis of what property we have left, look at the growth, how many homes, it's like with on the Vintner track, we're going to get, you look at that and say, okay, we're going to get 50 homes on that. On the Yeti track, we're going to get 45 homes on that. This is what our projection of growth is. This is how many larger parcels. This is about, right now, the current state of growth with the homes that's happening in Texas right now, that somebody that has that expertise, I don't, that can look at it and say, this is kind of getting an outlook of where we could potentially be and looking at that impact, what it has on the town, and look at what, are we really going to need to do more commercial? Are we really going to need to not have more commercial? Are we going to need to go higher density? Are we not? Kind of just give us an outlook of where we are, what we need. Are we going to need to fund roads more? Are we not? Kind of just give us a better picture of where we are.
That the city of Argyle did that.
Oh, they've done different kinds of, they've done all kinds of different programs. Cities do this type of thing all the
I
time.
would, it makes total sense. Does the people who did the Argyle analysis, were they well regarded or were they?
They've had, this company has done a lot of different cities. And the other one that we're talking to just finished one up with Lake Worth that Stacy recommended. She really liked them a lot better than this company. There's a lot of different professionals out there that do these kind of things. They do searches for city managers. They've been local government professionals. They have different people on their teams that can do these kind of analysis that know, kind of like you bring Aaron in, the retail coach, and they know that field. They know how to do those kind of things. So they put,
Assessment of where we're at, it's not advice on what to do. It's
no, yeah, they're not going to give us advice. They're going to tell us where we're at, look at potential growth, tell us, that's, we're going to get different options after we talk to them and see what they recommend, what we do.
What's the approximate cost?
That's, we don't know yet.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
we're going to find out. So
Okay,
that's,
good.
this is, we don't have, I don't even have a presentation or anything to bring forward yet
Okay.
until we
Because-
talk to them, because it's, we just sent some stuff out and they want to have a telephone conversation. This is, we have people on this board that think this way. We have people on council that think this way. Some people that think this way. The community, this is the feel of the community. And just get to have those conversations with those professionals. They thought it was kind of interesting that there's still a community that's like, we don't want any commercial, we don't want to add anything, we don't want to do these type of things, and to see where we are financially. So, oh no, it'll be me. Everything's public. We can't, there's nothing hidden. So when that's done, that would, if the council agrees to do that. So it's something that we're exploring. He's still with us. I gave a report at the last meeting.
a
So I
lot.
was kind of thinking.
I know, but it's just, it's budget season. There were we're doing
Is
a
the,
lot right now.
is the council in favor of this? I mean,
They had mentioned it at the last meeting. A couple of members of saying, hey, can we get something? So whether they wanted staff to do it or not do it, so we're getting some ideas. And this is what we can do. This is how we can fund it and bringing it forward.
Staff means you.
Exactly, and staff can't do it, and we're not
No, that's-
professional enough to do it. So then we're getting ideas. So somebody brought it up, so we're looking at options to give them.
Anything is better than nothing at this stage, I think.
So I'm kind of thinking this through, just based on what you said. It kind of sounds like we're looking at the potential for residential growth based on our current footprint. We know that we've got these properties that are RE5 where we can, is the idea to go down that deep where we say that if we
No.
fully built all of these RE5s, this is what our population would be. This is what our revenue would be from a sales tax perspective.
Well, you
And know
kind of,
what that,
I don't know how far we'll go into it, but the basics of this is to, let me get the right wording, kind of, let me,
that's what I'm
And
just trying to
bring it in with me.
understand really is is the approach. I mean, I get the whole idea that we're very limited on what can be done from a commercial standpoint, from a new business standpoint. We do have a lot of property that's available for residential if it's properly developed. Okay, so we know lots of new roads, lots of new, lots of concrete in these subdivisions. It's going to be required, including infrastructure such as fire and all the other things that they're going to need to build out a community, and what that impact's going to be to our traffic, all those types of things that that are of concern to our community. Yeah, I'm just trying. I'm trying to get my arms around what that impact could be in terms of financial impact to the town. In other words, how many homes does it take for us to stay ahead of the tax game, to stay ahead of taxation without increases?
So pretty much what the,
I don't know about y'all, but I'm concerned about taxes in the future.
well, yeah, and that's,
It's a big
it's, so, and right now with the new, so pretty much it's a financial analysis, pretty much like a 10 to 20 year forecast of our town, which would include discussions of major trends affecting the town's financial position that would examine critical issues such as economic conditions, growth, etc. So you kind of just encompass, all of that. And again, considering that the streets are its priority, and again, with the low density, that you don't want high density. You want to keep minimum 2 acres. And again, highly against changing the land use plan and against adding additional commercial growth with the way it is sitting today. And how does that look using the future? So that is how we put that out there. And so to look at what the impact is on the town. Those questions, you've asked these questions since you've been on the board.
It's
We need
weird.
more commercial. We need, well, where's the backup behind
Well,
it? Maybe
well,
we do,
but
maybe
the
we
reason-
don't.
But the reason, people do not understand the reason why we say we need more commercial. We say we need more commercial because everybody else pays that tax, not any of them. Martinville gets a free ride for 95% of that money because it's paid by, look at Martin's. Could Martinville support Martin's? Hell no. Hundreds of thousands of people show up there and pay those taxes. So we get the taxes free. So that's why, that's what is not in the thought process of a lot of these people. We're getting free money from the people around us that takes care of our ability, that keeps our ad valorem taxes low. And that's the point. And but I see people doing this completely misunderstanding that the sales tax, it's paid by Barton. No, we don't pay that tax. It's a benefit to us. a huge
Again, and we
benefit.
got to look at the growth of everything. Right now with the way the property taxes are being done, there's a whole nother, we're doing budgets. So the town first has to look at what it's budgeting before you decide how much revenue it needs. You have to look at the services it's providing, how much staff you need, what services you provide, what roads. You have to look at the town's budget. Then you have to decide from that the revenue that comes in. And then that bases your revenue for your taxes. And that's how you establish your tax rate. And with the no new revenue tax rate and how we have to calculate those items now, it's a whole nother animal.
Well, no, I think it's absolutely.
And
I believe it's
it
worth
may,
doing.
and you'll probably see our property taxes going down because of the way the new truth and taxation laws are going. So property taxes, because of that and the valuations, the property tax will probably end up going down. And again, and our sales tax revenues are going increasingly up. So again, it's just a different time and the way everything is structured. So again, this will help us, and it'll be a very good, if we do this, give us a really good picture of where things are.
I agree, Tammy. I
So,
think.
anyhow, I just wanted
yeah,
to mention that. We're gonna get some information and see
Good.
where it goes.
Good. No, this would be good.
Other end, that's okay.
Yeah, I think that would be very enlightening for some people and it could be very helpful.
I think if the scope is correct, in other words, we have enough to really compare residential versus commercial versus whatever. I think we could definitely really make a case for which direction we want to go. But I think we're going to have enough, because what concerns me is if we build more, we're going to have to support more. We're going to have to pay for those additional services, like you mentioned, road services.
And that's the
Street
purpose to
sign
do something like
services.
this.
So you think we'll get that out of that?
That's what this does.
Okay.
So that'd be
That's
good.
what it does.
That would be good.
So you think by after next
I
council meeting?
don't know. I don't have that answer. We're
Okay.
just, we're having
Okay.
discussions. So this is just something I wanted to bring to your attention. This is something we're exploring
And if,
that hopefully we can do.
and if the information that they're going to come up with is relevant to ourselves as well, I have no problem with paying for it. I mean, being part of it. I'm assuming the information is relevant to this community.
No, it would be. And I checked with Jeff because it's economic
It's economic
impact.
development,
So
yeah.
yes.
Absolutely.
So it would save money from your general fund and we could use it for we can use economic development money for that.
Well, we'll look.
That's why
forward-
that's why I'm bringing it to you.
We will look forward to more information when it's available. Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion on
There's no action needed. I just wanted to share that information with you.
item number 3, discussion on possible future FM 407 median project? And this is followed through from our last meeting.
Yes, and I don't have a lot of information for you, unfortunately, but well, just a little. I talked to Kevin Mercer a little bit more, and the person that has the bulk of the information was the former HOA manager of Lantana, who's still with that same company that managed the HOA, but he's been promoted up, so he's not with Lantana anymore. And he responded to my email, and he was supposed to get back to me, and we shared some information, and he hasn't sent me the information yet. But what I can tell you is the distance that they, if you look at this map, they did 840 feet. And I believe they spent about $95,000 doing that 840 feet. Lantana Cares funded that project. And Lantana Cares received a grant from the Lantana Educational Foundation. The Lantana Educational Foundation receives a ½ cent let me get this correct. Not minimize Zoom while you are recording. Okay. Lantana Educational Charitable Foundation.
These funds aren't blended with any of their schools or any of their,
No, and they
just to. completely
they
separate
receive a
charity.
½ cent. I was like, they receive a ½ cent. Of course, Republic created it. They receive a ½ cent of all sales for every home that is sold or transferred in Lantana. Goes into their fund.
Really?
No, this charitable foundation.
½ cent for
They,
every.
it's not a property tax. They get a ½ cent.
Off the sales of a house.
Yes.
Existing home transfer of an existing.
It
home.
was, they have millions. They give money. So the Republic Group helped create the Lantana Educational Foundation. And they provide millions of dollars in financial support to enhance the educational facilities, programs, and service area schools, as well as other charitable foundations. Hi, it's down in the other room. You're fine, Chris. Yeah, it's, so they have funded tons of things. So the Lantana Cares, and they do community projects within Lantana.
9% on the sale of every home.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's insane how they, yeah. So they get, I had it. I found it on the other. Yeah, charitable. There it is. It is, they get, the foundation is committed, they get 0.5% of the sale of all real estate sold or transferred within Lantana, both current and future. To date, almost $6 million has been granted through the foundation to Denton ISD. So
A lot of it is going to education.
I don't know how much of a grant, it was all of it, that Lantana Cares got for this 840 feet of median.
That's this one that's right there at their entrance, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It looks very nice.
Yeah.
So
So,
is the 410 between the 840 and town center?
yes, so I kind of just, so what I did until I get the rest of that information. And they also did the project, so if you notice around Tractor Supply, they did that. And then, they widened it. Yeah, it was something like that, and I'm waiting for those numbers. He was gonna send me the paperwork and the plans. And when they did that, they had 840 stretch of median one at 407 at the Phoenix main entrance. And landscaped and maintained by Gold Landscaping with water-wise zero-scape design. And then Susan Kennedy of Rhino Lawn Care for the donation of the zero-scape design. So they got a donation for the design of it. There are some types of grants, median grants. A lot of them are like a green ribbon. I know that there was one that came through that they want green, they want watering and things of that nature, but there's different. When we slow down and get through the budget, then we can look at different types of things. The only ones that I can even see feasible that this board can do would be the 410 and 427 feet in front of the Lantana Town Center. That one would be, and then the 480 feet, 475 feet in front of the Bartonville Town Center. Marty B's. Because it's in front of the commercial.
So do we pay to get that mowed down? Does Barton pay for
So
that?
what we're doing is splitting the cost of the medians with the Denton Freshwater District. So they were having our landscaper do it, and then their landscaper were alternating, but it was costly. So when they do mow it, then they send us a bill, we pay a portion of that. It's a lot cheaper than what we were. We broke it down
So when
of the median, so we are paying for it.
840 feet is a nicely landscaped, zero watering. The other part is just mowing, right? And so we creating the part that's just getting mowed to more of a landscape area, or
I don't know, this is something you brought up, so I was just, so the first part, I just wanted to see how much, where could it be landscaped? And what's being mowed?
That's actually why I brought it up, was to offset the cost of mowing, so that we could have a nice landscape that could potentially be a green zero-scape environment. We could do it that way.
like even on doing a zero versus
The
getting
mowing
mowed,
doesn't
that's-
even come close to this, of the cost of doing something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But this was just to give you an idea of where, I didn't even know how many areas on FM 407. So I just threw this together to see how many areas there were. And I just went on DCAT and I used their measuring device just to get measurements. And my measurement of 840 feet, and actually what they did, it's a little measuring tool, it's pretty accurate.
Accurate.
On
Yeah, good.
DCAT. because I did some research. Well, my measurement on VCAD was 836 feet, so.
Really?
So I just wanted to get an idea of how many green space areas there were. And I'll continue looking at different options, what kind of things there are. I'll find out the mowing costs. And I'll find out different kind of programs or something that I won't let go away that we'll look into and I'll bring forward.
Appreciate that. I mean,
Yes,
it's,
thank you.
that's something that some of our citizens have said, it's nice to see it down the street. I can't have that in front of, Bartonville. So, I mean, it's, obviously the savings is not going to be all end all. We're still going to have to pay, to approve this median, but I think the added value of having it.
There's
Is-
always to go and ask the Denton County Development District to for a grant.
Well,
That's to promote tourism and it's like, well, they can do that.
Once we build out our area, they could potentially assist us, Lantana could assist us with going ahead and building out the rest of it all the way to Parkville Town Center. In other words, that extra, what are we talking about here? Another 1,000 feet or more, 1475, whatever it is from Bartonville down to Lantana or Bartonville Town Center. If they could split that cost with us, then we contributed to the cost of the other.
I'll look at those and see and find out how much of a project. And it doesn't have maybe have to be as extensive as what they did.
Power Mound seems to do that everywhere. If you go all along 1171, it's virtually the whole
Well,
length.
some of those are different projects, so they did get part of some green ribbon funding, but they deal with some water companies that charge exorbitant prices. We tried to do that when AD was the commissioner for precinct 4, and we tried doing the project that came in. And he wanted it 407 that way all the way down, and we.
How's the water? Right.
Even Louisville's doing a lot of them. You go down Main Street, you got all those, all the lilies and all the other different types of just wild looking plants are growing in the medians. It all looks good. It looks like it's, doesn't require a lot of maintenance. Just let it grow. Kind of a wildfire.
But there does have to be water, obviously.
Some of that.
And their project, part of what they're doing is they're paying and it's being manually watered for a certain amount of time until it's established and then it'll drop to home. But, and I actually saw them one day, they had a big truck and they were manually watering everything.
Established.
Yeah, it's just kind of a start for your conversation, so at least we know how much is there and how many areas.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion? Median project? If not, item number 4, discussion on fiscal year 21-22 budget.
Do a couple of things on the budget after reviewing state law. So for marketing for promotional items, the law says that the you budget 10% of your revenues and spend 10% of your revenues that amount on promotional items each fiscal year. If you have money left over from the previous year and you didn't spend it all, then you can use that money.
So it moves forward.
So I had to go back and I went from when we started budgeting that promotional. So there were some years that it was over budgeted, so I had to go back and so the first part, and I have a sheet that I went back from, we started in 15-16, and the budget revenue, I should have made a copy this morning, was $160,000, and the board budgeted was $16,000. Money spent that year was $3,000, so the carryover was $13,000. I went back and I did an audit and I looked at the entire budget, so for every year, the next year budget was 9,000, 8,000 was spent. So after adding and subtracting, we carried over 13,000. The following year, we budgeted 9,000 and we spent 16,000. That was okay because we had a carryover of 13,000. So I went through and I did every single year. And so currently, right now, there's a carryover of $16,238.
Sorry, say that once more.
Currently, and if you look on this proposed budget down at the bottom, our fund balance that's in the bank today is $577,890. Bank account. And out of that, there's $16,238. That's
That's including all the back
yeah,
that was
and what we
carried forward.
spent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Web fees, everything that we're paying for.
what that would be used for that, like the community guide,
Right?
promotional items, different things that we've done. That might item that I can do print out and all.
I was just trying to get an idea if this covers.
I mean, going up to the sales tax revenue, we've got 137, is that through July?
That is through June.
Through June.
Yeah,
we-
so this.
So we got a
this,
full quarter left to go,
We have, yes, we have a full quarter.
full quarter left.
We're
to go.
projecting about $185,000 a year. Comes up to reducing it to 2%.
Means the road fund got double that.
Pretty much. So for the proposed, we're gonna, try to state, we're gonna estimate for the proposed revenue for next fiscal year, 185,000. With the, I had a line item in there for promotional fund in case, so we could put more money, in case we're gonna spend more on the community guide. My goal is to have the community guide funded out of this year. I don't know if we'll get it done and may roll over to next fiscal year.
What is that costing?
Community guide is about.
Yeah,
I have
okay.
that answer. We do it every 2 years. I want to say about 6,000.
I think that is.
Our audit entry, that's we started paying for a portion of the audit. The auditor comes in and audits. About $5,000. Consulting fees. That for 25,000 for the copier printing supplies. We haven't spent any year to date. I'm not sure if we'll again utilize that for the community guide. I'm expecting us to by the end of the year. Dues and subscriptions. I'm bringing that down to 105. The only due that we pay is membership fees. Economic Development Council. That's $125 a year. So the year end, we should only be paying projected. We haven't paid it yet this year. So year end will be $125. So budget for next year will be. Grant expenses, we don't. That one's a hard one to budget for because we don't know who's going to ask for any grants or not. So to make the budget balance expenses with revenues, I brought it down. So
Tammy, quick question. When does Marty do Conway Coffee? When is it?
They just had their pre-construction.
So he's ready to kick off.
We'll probably spend more. We're still working on. Development agreements, economic agreements. Improvements, I just take that line out there. I don't know why, there were two different line items and we merged them into one. I'm gonna take that Old Town improvement line out and just have it Old Town maintenance and repairs. That's everything we're requesting on. I had something, I'm sorry.
So far, just in the mowing and such, or did that include any of the
That
Christmas
includes
stuff? we
holiday
did?
decorations.
Okay.
And would you like to do that again this year? I got more comments on that tree.
I thought it was,
Most of them loved it.
yeah.
I got down there twice to get it all turned back on.
Well, what I'm going to do, and we haven't spent everything yet, is I'm going to have the electricity and I'll have the lights where the monument signs are. They don't have the correct lighting. Wires showing. And so when the person that came out and when he did when he came out to look at it, saw, like, this is really bad. I said, okay, can you come out because he does lighting? Yeah. Fix it with the whole thing. So it's on my list to do, just have all of that there and the wiring done correctly and make sure that we have enough electricity. Set up enough to
Tripping the
handle.
breaker, is that what happened?
Yeah, I think it was either getting wet and the breaker
Probably
kept.
getting wet,
Yeah.
yeah, blowing the breath.
that.
Couldn't handle the water.
That's a lot of money.
Tammy, did you ever get an assistant? Is
We
it-
have a full,
what-
we are in a full-time. worker, you know,
I mean, just, I really, the Christmas decorations to me are something that's kind of new to the town. That not come out.
That was last minute. when we just got-
Right, that's what I-
I will get some prices ahead of time instead of.
Turned out
Yeah.
really
I was
well.
just thinking, it's in July already, and we're gonna be there before we know it.
I've already sent out notices for National Night Out and things like that. So it's-
So just so we know, we've got a lot of landscape repairs that still need to be kind of remediated from the storm. There's some trees that died and are in poor shape. At the time, Tammy reached out to me, she asked me to look at the trees again, because the landscaper had given a replacement cost for a lot of those trees, or not a lot of them, several of the trees, key trees on the property. And I went and looked, and I wanted to see if they would come back before we said, let's replace these guys. So there's some trees there that are struggling right now, that, just like I said, reassess. And then there's also not a tree inventory available, mature trees available anywhere right now. It's a cost.
I think the people that I talked to said that they're given 2 years. The first year will struggle the most, but if it's a normal year for water, the second year will come back really strong. In fact, I've got 100 trees on my place, and I've got 2 that I'm really worried about. But they said, give it a little time, the trees are.
Bushes that are just now starting to come back after all this. And lost a bunch of property down in San Antonio. Let's give us a look. If it gets to the end of the year.
So basically, I asked him to come back to us when he had additional inventory available that he could get and what trees he proposed to plant. Because there were a couple of plants or trees that he said, I wouldn't plant these trees in this area again. So we want to get some of that information and make sure we have enough budget for it that maybe in spring, we might be able to replace some of those trees.
So those palm trees.
And if we need to, you can come back and do it.
But what I'm saying is I think this is the right amount because I think there's some significant damage that's still going to need to be taken care of in 2020.
At the Old Town
Yeah,
maintenance.
Old
repair
Town
budget,
maintenance and repairs.
Do you
that's
think
what
that, I mean, they're pretty expensive. Is that gonna be enough money? to do that? I guess we man the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we have to,
Yep.
right now, we've got 40 in there, But, if we have to amend, we have to amend, but I think it's smarter to try to wait till next year instead of even trying to even talk about it this year, because there's just not.
I know they probably would put them into next spring anyway, so it's
Okay,
busy.
yeah, yeah.
Professional development of postage, it'll be for mailing of the community guide. Professional development. I've got to check our dates for sales tax. Sure, when we're due. We have to be trained for 2 years.
Oh, thanks a lot.
It's fun stuff, let me tell you.
I've been there.
It's like, oh, can we do it Zoom before the Zoom goes out? Speaking of which, August is the last, the governor. Stops.
In municipalities, even if you're unable to go to your town council meeting, you can't attend.
Well, we're gonna discuss live
Okay.
streaming, but that's different. You can't talk and participate. There's, prior to that, and I'll talk about it at the end of the meeting or future. There's went to video booth where that's very, very hard to. It's a lot. It's just. You can live stream. Salary to town, that's a transfer that goes into the general fund. Computer software that goes over, that helps pay for a portion of the website. Promotional marketing, that's the 10% of the budget. That's every year, and then the traffic. So this year it's a balanced budget. In, which is the expenditures. And then, depending on this, if you end up coming to find medians or something of the year, probably. Something you want to do. Or it's a project that comes along. Well.
I mean, did you say that we were one of the few communities that continued to expand our sales tax revenue through the COVID process, through the
Several cities.
initially, I think a lot of people thought it would affect revenue, but it didn't seem to.
Not ours.
Yeah, it didn't seem to, yeah.
The alcohol
Yeah.
and not the other sales tax. Our sales tax.
Probably double.
Yeah, back on this median, you said down by Tractor Supply, all of that they did will be it's widened. What is being widened? Okay. Any other discussion then on the 21-22 budget?
Have any changes or anything? I'll bring back the budget for August. Bring up for that. Some of the other things in our marketing are the shirts. are different. Hopefully slow down and that's what's actually that's acclimated and it's in a routine. Start- I keep thinking we're gonna slow down and
I don't,
with the development, with the.
I don't see
with-
it, Tammy.
With the Yeti, with Bruce's property and the Picker track and it's, we're not, it
That's
just.
wishful thinking.
It's like, okay, can we ask, can we hire another? Can we hire one? It's like, it's.
Tammy, you've been amazing, but the
It's
problem is
crazy.
that you've been doing it all. And
Yeah.
and that's just, that's unfair to you, but it's also unfair to the city for, you know, if you got sick and there's,
Oh, I'm established, we're writing down some SOPs and Ashley's picking up things quickly. And she's not only, she's helping, she's learning some accounts receivables, some other things that are getting done with bullets on a daily basis, make reconciliation. Property tax that we have to do every month is due this, doing some of those journal entries, which I've already started to do. Getting operating procedures and step by step by step. So those are some of the things.
I'm with Randy.
Thank you, but we're getting there. We're,
Well, I'm with
we're getting
Randy.
ready
It's
now.
gonna get more, not less.
I think plan to start that property across from Conference. Yes, Conference.
There, I'll tell you. Since it's not on the agenda.
Okay, if there's no further discussion on the budget, future agenda items. Carryovers? Or we'll get feedback on the strategic
Future,
plan.
well, it's not a future agenda item, but save the date. Any invitations? My calendar. That's, but, where's my calendar? Boards and commissions reception. Tuesday, August 24th. Boards and commission reception. The, our designated representative has allowed for one night only, once a year, to allow the Barnwell store to host the boards and commission, so we private event. Will only be-
What is that?
Tuesday, August 24th. 7 to 9.
Designated representative.
The septic, yeah, our designated representative.
Name tags again this year would be awesome because it really was a learning for me to go around and see people with name tags and introduce myself and know who they are, because there's a lot of people I don't know that aren't.
Tuesday, August 24th.
What you say?
Um,
You don't, I know you don't have enough things to do, but
Okay, anything else? If not, we will adjourn the July 14th Parkville Community Development Corporation meeting at 6:56.